happened at the time of our Sahabas? It was very easy. It was very easy. Men and women, they had interaction. They had healthy, respectful interactions. When a Sahaba, he liked a woman, very easy. Lowering our gaze is not only for the men. Most of the time we think that, oh, lowering our gaze is only for the men. Oh, they were commanded. Most of the women, right, like very Muslim women, they see a man, right, and they stalk his Instagram and they be like, oh, this man, he's following so many girls, he cannot be the one for me. And these are the same girls who have some man, like some celebrity as their wallpaper on their phones, right? So it's like lowering your gaze is not only for the man. And there is this verse in the Quran that believing men are for believing women, right? So the way that you are, you're gonna get a man like that as well. However, it's not guaranteed that if you preserve yourself your whole life, that you're gonna get someone who also preserve themselves their whole life, because we see the examples all throughout the Quran, right? The wife of Lut alayhi salam, I don't know if you guys heard, she was the one with the kafirs, right? She was the one who rebelled against Allah. However, Lut alayhi salam, he was a prophet, right? So it's not guaranteed that every believing man is gonna get a believing woman. However, a believing man can only stay happy with a believing woman. That is promised in the Quran, right? If we don't stay loyal to our future spouse right now, we don't know. We don't have to know who it is. We don't have to know who our future spouse is. But we have to stay loyal to that person for him to stay loyal to us. If you don't want a man talking to 100 women, you shouldn't go talk to men like that as well. If you don't want your husband looking at different kinds of women, you shouldn't be looking at men as well, right? Some of us, like, we're teenagers, so we might not understand the whole concept of how important it is to get a righteous husband, right? Because we're young, all we care about is like chit-chatting, is having fun, or like if someone gives us a little bit of importance, we want to become friends with him, right? So the first thing that starts haram relationships is when you become friends with the opposite gender. And let me tell you right now, men and women cannot be friends. Not just in Islam, but in general. Men and women cannot be friends. And the Muslims that they say, oh, we're just friends. We're just friends. There's no such thing as men and women being just friends. Islamically, it's unacceptable. Even psychologically, if you look from the perspective of science as well, we get to know that men and women just cannot be friends because they weren't born like that, to be friends. And what are you guys' opinion on that? Can men and women, like, have you guys ever had a friend that you think that you're just friends with? Just friends. Yeah.
I saw this really interesting post. I forget where exactly, but it was basically like this guy went up to a bunch of like supposedly quote unquote girl and guy friends, like they were like together or whatever. And he went around like secretly, he would separate them and secretly ask them, oh, have you ever had feelings for that other friend? And half the time, one of the two would have some sort of feelings towards the other gender.
Exactly. Most of the time, and actually, like from my personal experience as well, I had like this one friend, right? She's not very religious or anything yet. So I sat down with her and we had like deep conversations, just on life. And I'm like, do you have friends? And she was like, yeah, I have friends. I was like, do you think that you're just friends with your friends? And she was like, yeah, men and women, like, yeah, they can be friends. There's no problem. Like, I'm friends with my, male friends, and there's nothing like that. And I was like, if you were to give him a chance, do you think he'll take it? And then she was like, yeah, 100%. So it's like, are you just friends? If you were to give the chance to your to your friend, he's 100% gonna take it. And there's also a study like that as well, that men and it says that men and women can be friends, but sometimes that's not sometimes. Most of the times, outside factors or social pressures will cause you to consider your friend as a romantic option, because humans are made like that. Men are made like that. If I were to tell you, if women knew the way men look at them, they would cover themselves up with iron shields. This is how men look at women. Their minds work different. We might not look at the way men look at us. All in our textbooks, also in our science textbooks, there's this study. You know how there's this part of our brain that activates when you look at an object and when you look at a human being, right? So it's like a way to distinguish between an object and a real human being. So when a man, he looks at an object, right, that part of the brain does not activate because it's just an object. But when he looks at a woman, right, it's supposed to be a living thing, right? So he's that part of the brain is supposed to activate because he's looking at a living thing. And it does when he looks at a woman who's like normally covered. But if the woman is even slightly covered provocative, that part of his brain starts to decrease. So he doesn't even look at that woman as a living thing. He doesn't look at that woman as someone who has feelings or emotions. That's biologically proven. Their minds work like that. If they see a woman who's dressed even a little bit of provocative, they don't even, like, it's not even in their power to consider that woman as a human being. So the term that we see, oh, they objectify women, they for real in their heads consider women just as objects. And that's how most of the men look at women. So it is in the man nature to have feelings towards women, right? Most of the time, women, they're not that active when it comes to like romantic relationships. Men have so much more, 100 times more desires than women. Which is why the test of a man is to lower his gaze. That's why he was commanded first to lower his gaze. That's his test. He was told to discipline himself. He was told to control his sight. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that thing in him. And it is way harder for him. And for us women, we were told to cover ourselves to make it easier for them. You know, they still have to lower their gaze even if the woman is like half naked. It doesn't matter. But if the woman is covered properly, it makes it easier for them to lower their gaze. That's why, like, the rules that Islam are there for a reason. It's for our advantage. It's so that we can live happily, right? And in this society that we live in, right, like the West, they try to normalize men and women working together in workplaces, wherever we go, they want to normalize the free mixing and stuff like that. When there's free mixing, it's like fuel and fire, right? Men and women are like fuel and fire. If they're there at the same place, there's gonna be fire taking place. Because you're just not in their power to be working together as just friends. One of you are gonna catch feelings. It might not be the first friend that you have. You might not be romantically, attracted to that person. But the second friend, the third friend, you're not just gonna have one friend in your life, right? If you have that mindset that you could have male friends, you're gonna have many in your life, right? So not the first one, the second one, but the third one, you're gonna be attracted to them. And then what happens, right? First thing is you don't lower your gaze. And then you go talk to them. And then you become friends with them. And then you become besties with them. And then you fall in love with them. And then you guys get into relationships. When you're not even at the age of marriage. That's the first fitnah. Islam does not say that we can't love someone. Islam is not here to complicate our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this feeling in us. Islam does not say that you cannot love someone. Islam is based on the foundation of love. How can a religion who all it talks about is love and happiness say that you have to restrict yourself all your life? No, Islam is not against love. But Islam is against the love that turns into lust. Islam is against love that people turn into like impure and filthy by not making it halal. They go into haram. They use you for their lustful desires. And let me tell you, if the man does not want to approach your father, your wali, he's not the one. He's just there to play games with you. He's not, I wouldn't even consider him a man, right? So, it's just common sense. If a man can come up to you, and if he can talk to you, and if he can be friends with you, then he can go talk to any other woman as well. What do you think is stopping him? What do you think is stopping him? And even after he gets into a relationship, you think you can stop him when the rules of his creator couldn't stop him? When he knew that he was betraying against his parents by talking to you, and when you knew that you were betraying against your parents by talking to him, but you both were still talking, you both were making promises, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry this girl. He's making promises, you're making promises, and your parents don't even know about that. You both are betraying your parents. And if you could betray your parents, who can love you more than your parents? You think your spouse is gonna love you more than your parents? They were there for you when no one else did. They raised you. So if someone can betray their parents, if someone can betray their creator, what makes you think he can't betray you even after he gets married to you, let's say. Let's say he does end up getting married to you. What, you think you can stop him? You think your love can stop him from falling in love with other women? We think we can do that? We cannot. People change. People's priorities change. But when someone loves you for the sake of Allah, he would want to stick with you for the rest of his life because he's doing it for Allah. And the love of Allah never dies. Love of a woman can die. Love of Allah never dies. Right? So if he is the real man and he actually loves you, he would want to approach your father. He would want to do it the right way. He wouldn't play with your respect. Because if he genuinely respects you, he wouldn't play with you, right? And I'll just tell you right now, attraction is before marriage and love is after marriage. The real love is after marriage. And even the love after marriage stays only for a very limited amount of time. You guys might say, you're not gonna wake up every day and, oh my God, I'm so absolutely, like, I'm so in love with that person. There might be days where you guys fought. There might be days where you're not so in love. At that time, the only thing that stays is respect. Respect is there for lifetime. And at those days, you have to think about that you are with that person for the sake of Allah, and you love them for the sake of Allah, and you're gonna keep loving them for the sake of Allah, because you committed yourself in a marriage, in a very beautiful blessing of relationship that's blessed, right? You committed yourself into that, and you're gonna, no matter what happens, you're gonna put effort into keeping that relationship going. But the people who just do it for each other, their love's gonna vanish, and the first thing they're gonna think about is divorce. Because there was nothing keeping them together to begin with. It was only each other, right? So this is very important, that whenever you're thinking of marriage, you have to think of someone who will respect you and who will take care of you and who will love you for the sake of Allah. That's very important. Don't be deceived by men. They'll come and tell you, I know, like women, we want to be seen. That's in us. Just like how men want to see, we women want to be seen. We want to be appreciated. Just so, test of a man is to control his sight, and the test of a woman is to not be seen. That's the test of a woman. We want to feel appreciated. We want someone to give us importance and call us so pretty. But I want you guys all to know that every single day when you choose to wear this hijab on your head, you're walking around with the crown of Islam. You're walking around with the crown of Islam, and no way should you ever feel even the slightest bit of embarrassment for wearing this crown of Islam on your head. You are following the commands of Allah. Every day you choose to wear this crown. Every day you choose not to be objectified by men. Every day you choose to preserve your worth, your value for the one who would be loyal for you for a lifetime, and not for these stupid men. And I wanna look beautiful to them, or they would come and call me, oh, I'm so beautiful. Like this, I know this is in our nature. We want to be called beautiful. We want to be seen. We want to be appreciated, especially by men. Especially by men, right? But a pious woman would stay loyal to that one person that she's gonna commit to. And that man, if you stay pious your whole life, inshallah, you will find someone who also preserved himself, who also did not look at any other woman. He had the chance. There were girls coming at him who wanted to be just friends with him. There were girls coming his way, but he stopped himself for who? For Allah. And you also did that. You also chose to cover yourself so you could preserve yourself for your husband. You also chose to lower your gaze for who? For Allah. So you could be with that one person that will love you forever and that will stay loyal for you forever. You know. So that is very important. So this is how relationships starts, right? The cycle, it never ends. First you guys are strangers, then you guys become friends, and then you guys become best friends. And then you guys are in love. And then you guys are in a relationship. And then what comes? Heartbreak. And then you guys are strangers again. That's just the system. And that's the system that the West is in right now. Because they've taken the whole beauty of marriage out of their thing. They only date for fun. Especially middle schoolers. If you're a middle schooler, if you're a high schooler, and if you think you're in love, side-eye. Like, respectfully, if you're a middle schooler, if you're a high schooler and you think you're in love, you're not in love. Sister, you're not in love. Please, stop fooling yourself. You're just there to chit and chat. You're just there to have fun. And if you're making promises, oh my God, I'm gonna stay with you forever. You're my forever. I'm never gonna leave you. You're gonna leave him the day you walk out of the high school. Let's not even try with me right now. So all of these things, they're temporary. They're very temporary. They'll make you feel good at the moment, but they'll forever stain you in your heart, right? And you have to know whatever you're doing, your future spouse is doing the same. Would you be okay with your future spouse also looking at women the way you look at men? Would you be okay with him having like 10 crushes on girls just the way you have crush on men? Would you be okay with that? If you're not okay with that, then don't do it, right? So, this is what happens in the West, right? Like there's this system of dating, right? And they were like, if I'm never gonna date someone, if I'm never gonna be just friends with someone, how am I gonna know them before getting married? You don't have to be friends with someone to know them or to be married to them, right? There's a halal way. Like Islam does not tell you, oh, like you just have to marry someone blindly and you don't even know where they're from, you don't even know what kind of person they are. No. Islam is very natural. Islam did not come to make our lives harder. Islam is for our protection. It's not a restriction. We shouldn't see Islam as a restriction. We should see it as a protection. It protects us from so much fitnah. All these people who date, they date the first person and it doesn't work out with them, and then they date the second person, and then they date the third person, and that's how they have trust issues. After they get into a real relationship, they have so many trust issues. They have so many trust issues because if that guy can come up to her, he can go up to any other woman as well. There's just think about it from their perspective. Those women, those girls that are in a relationship, like they're constantly in that pressure that man is gonna find some other girl pretty, and this is why they keep accusing each other. Oh, why did you stop following that girl on Instagram? There's so many insecurities, there's so many trust issues because of this reason. Because there's no God in their lives. Because there's no the concept of being consciousness of Allah. There's no consciousness of Allah. And like after you get into a relationship, right? Like your wife or your husband is not gonna walk with you everywhere. Right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna be with you. You have to protect your and your husband's respect, their chastity, right? So you have to stay loyal to them even when they're not there. And your husband probably thinks the same way. So there's so many less tensions, there's so many less trust issues because you've trusted each other for Allah. And you know that you both stayed loyal this whole time, so you're gonna stay loyal even after getting married. Right? Because like if that's a pious man, he'll stay loyal. And he knows that you're a pious woman, so you'll stay loyal. Right? So this whole system of dating, it's literally, this system is designed to destroy you, to destroy your mental health. Do not be friends with the opposite gender. I'm telling you right now. Do not be friends. I know they'll come up to you. You wouldn't want to be friends with them. They'll come up to you and they'll be like, oh, can we do our project together? And then you guys start doing your project together. And the next thing is that they just want to chit chat. They just want to have fun. It's not even like work related. You guys are just going back and forth of the things that are not even work related. And the next thing, you guys are in friends and then you guys want to hang out. And there's one thing, like if you want to know that you're talking to someone for work related, Islamic, like there's interaction between man and woman, even at the time of Sahabas. It's not like women only stayed at home and men were aside. There were interactions between men and women, even at the time of our Sahabas. There were interactions. But how were those interactions? They were respectful. They were respectful because women were completely covered and men were lowering their gaze. That's how it was. But in this society, everyone when we meet is not going to be a pious man. He's not going to be lowering his gaze, right? So what do we do in that situation? When you have to talk to someone for work related, just know that if your father was here, would you still be talking to him the same way like you do when your father is not there? Do you think your body language, do you think your tone would change if your father was to walk in the room and you're talking to that person? We like for group related, I'm not saying like it's impossible to avoid interaction with the opposite gender. It's impossible, right? But we have to do it in a respectful manner. We have to do it in a halal way. So if your father was to walk in looking at you talking to the other man, would he be upset, or would you want to change your body language to see if like your father is looking at you? So that's like the main thing. Whenever you're looking at someone, make sure that if your father was here, you would still be talking the same way like you are when your father is not there, right? Because Allah is always there. Your father might not be there, but Allah is always watching you. So that's like the test to put yourself. And also another thing, like talking about the West, right, and how dating has become so normalized and stuff like that. So when these people when they do end up getting married, when like things go wrong, their first reaction to that is divorce. Because that's the whole system of dating. You date so many people, it doesn't work out, you break up. It doesn't work out, you break up. It doesn't work out, you break up. And then when they actually get married, when things slightest don't go their way, the first reaction to that is let's break up, like let's divorce. Because they don't understand the importance of marriage. And the least like if you really have to give someone a divorce, that's something else. Your husband like abusive or something like that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the least favorite thing to him is divorce, right? And the best thing that shaitan wants to do is separate a husband and a wife. That's like his most favorite thing to do. in a relationship, and before marriage, his favorite thing to do is have like matchmaking, shaitan's matchmaking, right? So what he does before marriage is tries to get you guys together, get you guys in a haram relationship, right? And after marriage, what happens is tries to break you guys up. So if you don't go towards the right way from the very beginning, then you won't have a good ending, is all I'm gonna say. And the West, bro, like this system, right? Like it's based on the foundation of interest. Everything about West, like look at it, fornication, zina is so normalized. It's appreciated in this society, right? Which is something that a Muslim in Islam, you cannot even think about that those things, girlfriend, boyfriend, the culture, is so normalized. This society is putting itself into danger, like it's meant to destroy itself. And then on top of that, there's a whole system of now LGBTQs, right? That's on top of that. So, and don't get me wrong, like I love my country. I love my country. Like I was raised here, I came here when I was a kid. But the stuff that this country is doing, the stuff that the generation of this country is doing, you should not idolize these people. You should, like there's no way you should idolize these people. These celebrities, they're not the one we idolize. We idolize Fatima Raziyallahu anhu. This one time, Ali Raziyallahu anhu, he brought a man to the house, right? And when Aisha, and he was a blind man. He was a blind man. And Aisha and Fatima Raziyallahu anhu, when she saw that man, she went and hid herself in the room. And Ali Raziyallahu anhu, like, what are you doing? He's a blind man. He can't see you. You don't have to do niqab or something like that. And then she was like, he can't see me, but I can still see him. Why would I look at a non-mahram for no reason? This is the level of haya that we need to have in our society today. And there's another hadith of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that it's better for a man to pierce his head with an iron needle than to touch a woman that is not permissible for him. That is not permissible for him, right? So this is the level of haya that we need to have in our society. Do not be looking at non-mahram for no reason. We need to lower our gaze, just like the man needs to lower our gaze. And we need to protect ourselves. We need to preserve ourselves with this hijab every single day, right? Because, and let me just tell you, like when you go into someone's room, you should not feel ashamed for being a Muslim. Because Islam is superior. I'm gonna say it and I'll say it every day, all day long. Islam is superior. The rules of Allah are superior. The ummah of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is superior because they don't see anyone inferior than them. And I'm not saying that you should go around looking down on people. But when you're walking, lift your head up, because you walk like the queen that you are. Because you are wearing the crown of Islam on your head every single day. You're following the commands of Allah. That is superior. This is the perfect way of life. And Islam is superior because we don't see anyone inferior than us. Everyone's equal in Islam, right? And I'm not saying you should go and look down on people. No. Look down on the sin, not the sinner. Right? So when you're in a room and someone tells you to shake your hand, do not hesitate to not shake your hand. Because you are a Muslim. Who are they to tell you that you have to shake your hand? Be proud of who you are. When they tell you to put pronouns, when they tell you to share your pronouns, you don't have to share your pronouns. They should respect you like the way they want you to respect them. They should be ashamed of what they're doing. You shouldn't be ashamed to say, I'm not going to share my pronouns. Why should you feel ashamed? You're following the commands of Allah. You're following a perfect way of life. They should be the one feeling ashamed. And you should pray for their guidance. You should pray for their guidance, right? Do not hate them, but pray for their guidance. This is what Islam is all about. Islam is not there to hate on people, to kill people. But Islam is there to we ask for their guidance. We try to give them dawah, to invite them to the perfect way of living. We're Muslims. Like, can we, like, every single day, I cannot thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough that we wake up every day and we're a Muslim. There's so many people who don't even know what Islam is. And we were blessed with this. We were blessed with this blessing, and what are we doing with this blessing? Are we feeling ashamed to be Muslim? In this society? Are we feeling ashamed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us a Muslim and we have to follow certain rules? We shouldn't be ashamed. We should be proud of ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us Muslim. And there's this man, he said that, a man who converted, right? He said that if I were to find Muslims before I found Islam, I would have never converted to Islam. I would have never converted, because most of the Muslims, they're not even following what the right Islam is. And we are the image of Islam. We represent Islam. We are their Islam. You are their Islam. Especially in the West society. They're gonna look at us. They're not gonna go read the Quran. They're not gonna go read the life of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. They're gonna read us. Especially we women, we wear the hijab. It's very obvious that we're Muslims, so it's a duty on us to represent ourselves in a very perfect manner. It's to preserve ourselves. It doesn't matter if a guy is coming up to you and he wants to talk to you and he wants to chit chat with you. Put him in his place. Very respectfully. Yeah, I'm not saying that you should go and be, hey, you can't talk to me. Don't do that. Don't do that. But no, keep your boundaries. There's so much that you can say without even saying it. And my mom, she would always say this one thing to me, before I was gonna go to the universities and stuff like that. There's this one piece of advice that she gave me, right? I went to all girls school, so I never really had interaction with men the way I was gonna have in the universities, right? So she said one thing to me, right? She was like, we live in America. It's impossible that you're not gonna have interaction with the opposite gender. It's impossible that you're not gonna have it. But just know that the society that we live in, if you don't want a man to talk to you, he cannot dare to talk to you. If you don't want it, he can't do it. You have that power to stop them through your body language. You can do it. And guys, they pick up just like that. They would only talk to the woman who allowed them to talk to them. They would only go to that woman who allows them. So all I'm saying is that we need to preserve ourselves. And now the solution to that is, right, all of these haram relationships. And as we said so many times, as Sister Marsha said, loving someone is not haram, right? Islam is very natural. It came to make our life so much more beautiful, right? So the solution to all of that is that whenever you're looking for marriage, right, the first thing you should do is talk to your parents. There is no way you should go and be friends with someone or get into a relationship with someone without talking to your parents. Talk it out with your parents. And if a guy is being hesitant to talk to your family or to talk to your parents, then 100% know that he's not the one. He's just there to play with you. Because he was the real one, he would have talked to your father. If he was a real one and if he was serious about you, he would have talked to your father. If he's not, then he's just playing with you, just playing games with you. He might call you pretty all day. He might get up in the morning and give you a good morning text. But if he was real, he would have talked to your parents. And if he can't talk to your parents right now, he'll text you a message that I think we should stop talking to each other, right? And we should stay patient until the time that we can get married, right? If he's the real one, he would wait for you. Let's say that you are in some kind of relationship right now, right? Tell him, if he's the real one, he would wait for you. And if he doesn't do that, you'll get someone so much better. And that's how he wasn't the one to begin with. He didn't really want you if he doesn't want you in marriage. He was just to play games with you, right? That's how and in our society, and I'm gonna blame all of this to our parents. Not gonna lie, it's not even our fault. But we made Nikkah so hard. We made Nikkah so hard, which is why people are running into haram relationships, which is why people are going to the path of zina. People are getting into all of that because our parents have made Nikkah so hard. The first thing, first you have to be financially stable. Who said? Who said you have to be financially stable to get married? Is this in the Quran? Is this in the Hadith? No. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you get married and I will provide for you. And our family, what does it say? You provide first and then get married. It's like the opposite. It's like the opposite. Why are we complicating Nikkah? Why are we complicating Nikkah? This is the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to us. And our Prophet said it's better to get married young because it could save you from so much fitnah. Forced marriages are unacceptable in Quran and in Hadith. Your parents cannot force you to get married to someone who you do not want to get married. Let them know. They should know that. There's only two things needed to be married to someone. Two things: consent and meher. If the woman does not willingly consent to the marriage, it's invalid. Their marriage is not valid according to Islam. They can be signing the papers, but their nikah wouldn't be valid. They get married to someone who did not consent to. And parents, it's a very serious topic, and parents do not understand that. You cannot force someone into marriage. And even the day before, if the girl was to say, I do not want to get married to this guy, that's it. Discussion end. You cannot force her. Even emotionally, physically, unacceptable. You can't force someone into marriage. That's the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave each one of us. Allah gave us that right. No one can take that away from us. No one. Know your rights. And if you, and even parents, like if a guy is coming up to you and if he's telling you that I want to approach someone in a halal way, why are they not listening to them? If he wanted, he could be in a haram relationship with her, but he wants to approach it the right way. But our parents, you know what they say? Astaghfirullah, you know how many fitnahs there are? This is what, we shouldn't have come to America. Let's go back to Pakistan. Let's go back to Bangladesh, right? That's not how things are. You know what happened at the time of our Sahabas? It was very easy. It was very easy. Men and women, they had interaction. They had healthy, respectful interactions. When a Sahaba, he liked a woman, very easy. Islam is very natural. He comes up to, you know what he says? I like you, can I talk to your father? And the girl goes, maybe, talk to my father. And he goes to the father and he's like, I want to have your daughter's hand for marriage. And the father goes, yeah, let me talk to my daughter. And he talks to the daughter and the daughter said, yes, okay. And they get married. It's never that complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. Right? Islam is very natural and it's there to make our lives easier. It's not there to make our lives harder.